Better Loosen Up winning and Horlicks and Vo Rogue both out of a place. The result has thrown open the $1.2 million BMW International, but it was another triumph for trainer Colin Hayes, who retires at the end of this season. The Sedgenhoe Stakes attracted the best field possible, with the 13 starters earning close to $12 million. The multi-millionaires, Queensland's Vo Rogue and the New Zealander Horlicks, were the centre of attention. But in the betting ring, Horlicks was the hot favourite. Vo Rogue took off at a frantic pace, his jockey Cyril Small attempting to repeat his all-the-way win in the Australian Cup. But this time, the Vo was shot before the turn, and Horlicks was left the sitting shot for the big finishers in the straight.
2 lengths in front. Here's Horlicks. Horlicks is quickly looming up to Vo Rogue as they turn for home. King's High in third place, followed by Riverina Charm, and Dr. Grace on the outside is putting in a big run, and going with him is Sedestin. Horlicks flat to the boards in front at the 200. Dr. Grace and Sedestin are challenging, and Better Loosen Up on the extreme outside. Sedestin and Better Loosen Up have come away. They're fighting it out. Better Loosen Up on the extreme outside is drawing clear, and Better Loosen Up wins the Sedgenhoe. Sedestin second, Superimposed third, fourth.
Better Loosen Up's win was surprisingly the first in Sydney for champion jockey Michael Clark.
You know, the conditions today with the sting out the ground was ideal for my horse, and you know, it suited him ideally.
Yeah, mate, down the back straight, Vo Rogue was about 12 lengths in front at one stage. That a bit of concern at any stage?
Yeah, you know, Vo Rogue did get a big break, but my horse is very relaxed, and he's a horse if you can just sort of save him a little bit, and he sprints and it accelerates very quickly, and it did work out well.
The defeat for Horlicks was far from a disaster, but it's difficult to see Vo Rogue winning the BMW. Well, the O'Sullivans missed out with Horlicks, and jockey Lance O'Sullivan also suffered defeat on New Zealand's other great filly, Philippa Rush. Last Sunday, O'Sullivan was best man at fellow jockey Shane Dye's wedding. Well, yesterday, Dye paid back his mate by beating him in the closest of photos. Dye on the 4-year-old mare Happy Sailing. And as a sideline, infamous Sydney racing identity George Freeman, who died this week, left a big tip about Happy Sailing for next month's Doncaster. Philippa Rush took up her favourite front-running position and was being tackled left, right and centre on the home turn. O'Sullivan kept cool, but Happy Sailing with Shane Dye was finishing with a brilliant burst.
Into the straight now, Philippa Rush just led, left the fence. There's a rails run for a Little Kiss. A Little Kiss is bursting through to tackle it, and Ockletree's going to get up on the inside of all of them. Philippa Rush still in front at the 300 mark from a Little Kiss. Ockletree getting right through on the rail, followed by All Stormy, and down the outside, Happy Sailing with a late run. It's Philippa Rush in front. Happy Sailing is getting to it quickly. Philippa Rush feeling the weight. Happy Sailing finishing right over the top of it, but Philippa Rush all right on the line. There's nothing in it. Philippa Rush or Happy Sailing. It's very, very close.
Happy Sailing got the verdict on the outside, and the Far Lap Stakes was just as close. The favourite in this $100,000 race was Procol Harum in the Cerise colours, locked away on the fence, and the action came late in the centre of the track.
Procol Harum is bailed up on the fence. He's got nowhere to go. Further out, Bistro Miss, followed by Pumpernickel. Procol Harum can't get a run anywhere. Cordero's in front from Rechabite. Procol Harum trying to get clear, and further out, Pumpernickel and Bistro Miss. It's Rechabite in front. Now Procol Harum's into the clear, but he can't get going. Solar Circle and Hermoso down the outside. Hermoso put the head in front, and Hermoso, I think, has just beaten Solar Circle.
The Bart Cummings train colt Solar Circle won in a photo and is now a Derby prospect. The Golden Slipper picture became a little clearer after the trials for colts and fillies. Mick Dipman won both, and he won them for the same owner, Jeff White, and trainer Jack Denham. Orange was very green, defeating a moderate field of colts.
Pagan Jest and Orange, the Austrian, won't go straight. He wants to hang in behind them. High Demon's gone. Orange fighting back, is now getting the upper hand. He ducked out sharply. He's running about all over the place, but he's far too good, and he draws away now, and he wins pulling up. Orange by nearly 3 lengths to Pagan Jest and the Austrian third.
But Orange's stablemate Triscay retained her favouritism for the slipper with a powerful win over the Colin Hayes pair, Road Song and Mahasen.
He's got to get busy on Triscay. Road Song's finding plenty. Road Song still in front. Triscay on the outside is now getting to it. Triscay is coming home the better. Triscay put the head in front close to home. She's too good now, and she draws away Triscay and beat Road Song a half length. 2 lengths or more away third Mahasen. A long gap to Dentine.
Well, it was a great meeting yesterday, but the Rosehill Carnival culminates in a fortnight's time. That's Golden Slipper Day. It's one of racing's greatest afternoons and one of the most important meetings worldwide. On April the 7th, a $1.8 million slipper shares centre stage with the $1.2 million BMW International. For me, the BMW is a much more interesting race to find the best stayer at weight for age compared with a 6-furlong sprint for 2-year-olds. And the honour roll for the BMW International, which used to be the Tancred, is superb. This year, the Overseas Challenge is as strong as ever.
International horses have provided some of the most enthralling battles in Australian turf history. Who could forget New Zealanders Bone Crusher and Waverley Star, stride for stride at the Valley?
Our Waverley Star, the rails, Bone Crusher the outside, and Bone Crusher.
2 weeks ago, the strongest field of imported horses ever brought to Australia assembled in Sydney, lured by the riches of the $1.2 million BMW International. First off the flight after a month's quarantine in France was Argentina's Horse of the Year, Savage Toss. Owned by Mike Willesee, the 4-year-old has 3 Group 1 victories to his credit, but another 2 weeks quarantine outside Sydney makes preparation for the one-off event a hell of a gamble.
Well, it's a huge gamble and one you shouldn't put any money on, because they've got to, especially from South America, they have to go to France or England, have a weather condition change, biological change in themselves, changing hemispheres. They go to training in quarantine, come back and have 2 weeks quarantine after another long flight. There's a lot against them, but it's a bigger gamble, but all the sweeter if it works, I guess.
Helping to narrow the odds is French-based Australian trainer John Fellows. But after having Savage Toss in his care for several months and watching him work at Rose Hill on Thursday, he's still not sure just how well the Bay stacks up.
Almost impossible to say. I've had him several months and he's been working very well, but I never got to the point where I could work him with any of my best horses. And I've seen films, the times are good, he seems a nice, tough, honest horse. It's very difficult to say, but I'm sure he's a good horse. Now, how good is, time will tell.
Well-performed Europeans Mountain Kingdom and Highland Chieftain have excellent records over the 2,400 metres BMW distance, but another Argentine, Panita, shapes as the smoky in the field. Patricia Head, daughter of master trainer Cricket Head, has nothing but admiration for her.
Well, the only thing I can tell is that she's been working very well, and they want to run the BMW, and I think she's capable of it. I saw a race, she was beaten on the Group 1, the best race in Argentina, and I saw her the other day, the race, and you know, she was just beaten by a nose and she could have won. I mean, I think she's got the class to do it.
While the English and Argentinian horses stretched their legs under a blaze of publicity at Rose Hill, New Zealand's Grand Old campaigner Horlicks was taking a quieter approach to things under tight security at Warwick Farm. Guarded by a hungry-looking blue heeler, Horlicks has been given time to settle at her Warwick Farm stables, and her connections are confident the early race favourite has retained her world-beating form from last year's Japan Cup.
If she could recapture the form she had in Melbourne, and in particular the form she had in Japan, we could have a very good autumn with her. But I think she's reached a peak for sure.
Well, she missed out yesterday, but didn't have an easy run in the Sedgenhole, and I think she's still a factor in the BMW Horlicks. With the spotlight on Sydney racing, Melbourne took a back seat, and bookmakers should have shown a profit with a number of outsiders successful. The 2 feature events, the Gibson Carmichael for 2-year-olds and the Duke of Norfolk Stakes, attracted large but modest fields. The strongest lineup of the day occurred in race 5, the Royal Hong Kong Jockey Club Plate. It was won in fast time by the talented but inconsistent High God.
The favourite, the South Australian Beau George, was slow to begin and always well back. Reva Gleam charged away in the middle stages, but High God was bolting on the turn.
As they go down to the 250 now, High God put its head in front of Reva Gleam. Mr. Imperious under pressure, and then the others struggling. High God drew ahead in front of Reva Gleam and Mr. Imperious, and High God for the money. High God a half length to Reva Gleam. Mr. Imperious third, Stable Gossip fourth.
The Gibson Carmichael is recognised as a guide to potential spring stayers, being the longest race for 2-year-olds, 1,600 metres, run at this stage of the season. Holiday Lover was the 11-4 favourite, but Aroma, yet to run a place, on the way up, was too strong.
It's Aroma getting its head in front now from Autumn Leaves, fighting back. Holiday Lover going back to the rail, but Aroma's the leader from Autumn Leaves, getting with 100 to go. Holiday Lover getting up on the fence, but Aroma drew clear, and Aroma gets the money by 3/4 to Holiday Lover. Third home is Autumn Leaves, then Denial's Glowing Talent.
Ironically, Lord Westminster won the Gibson Carmichael 3 years ago, and he's won just 2 races in the city, both at Flemington. The Duke of Norfolk is one of two 3,200-metre races, forgetting hurdles run at Flemington in the year. The other is the Melbourne Cup. Lord Westminster, a 15-to-1 outsider, finished powerfully to upset the 3-to-1 favourite Chanteroon.
Lord Westminster moved up to Chanteroon. They go stride for stride. Lord Westminster's got his head in front of Chanteroon. Lord Westminster, the leader near the line. Chanteroon battling on. Then Sharp As, but Lord Westminster by a length to Chanteroon. 2 lengths away third. Sharp As from Ragatan, and then further back Raft Boy.
Here's Brian Martin providing the calls there for the races at Flemington. Big racing in Sydney next week. We'll have all the highlights after the break. A fascinating interview with Dean Waters.
Look at the road. Good contest, Kenny?
Yeah, it's a great day here, Maxie. You talk about excitement, you talk about grand final days or election days. None of them are bigger than at Rosehill today, where we see the great clash, as you said, between the champion New Zealand mare Horlicks and the mighty Vo Rogue. I don't know why they don't call Vo Rogue a champ. He's got a heart as big as himself. I reckon he's got a heart bigger than, bigger than Maxie Walker or any of those great VFL footballers or rugby league players you see. But can he win today? I don't think so. The track's just a fraction wet, and, the Vogue doesn't like that, and he seems to like Melbourne better than Sydney. He seems to like leading off on his left leg. All his best forms in Melbourne. He has one in Sydney, but by golly, he's got the job ahead to try and beat Horlicks. Now, if Horlicks runs in the first 5, her stake money goes over $3 million. She's won races like the Japan Cup, the LKS McKinnon Stakes, the top weight for age race in Melbourne. And if Vo Rogue wins, his money goes over $3 million. Who do I think will win? I'm a spoiled sport. I think Superimpose can beat them both. But there's not only 3 chances, there's a lot of chances. Better Loosen Up, Dr. Grace, whatever. You make sure you're watching it on the wide world of sports. Here's Kenny Sutcliffe.
Good on you, Ken, going for the wild card there. He doesn't think... Maxie. OK, time now to go to Ken Callender at Rosehill to discover what price the Rogue is in the early market and what hot prospects he has in store for this afternoon's big meeting.
Thanks very much, Kenny. Well, punters have taken a set against Vo Rogue. Jockeys say the track's a little bit dead. Punters are very educated here in Sydney. They don't want to back the Rogue the Sydney way of going, and they don't want to back him on a dead track. But be careful, fellas. He's got a big heart that sometimes overcomes everything. But I'm not backing him either. Let's look at the early prices just of the favoured runners. Number 1, Vo Rogue is at 7-to-1. On the tote, that is, of course. Number 2, Superimpose is at 6-to-1. Down to Better Loosen Up's a 6-to-1 chance. The favourite Horlicks is just a fraction better than 2s at the moment. She might firm a fraction. And Riverina Charm is at 9-to-1. And down to Dr. Grace, TAB number 12, the 3-year-old. He's at 11-to-2. And the other 3-year-old, Interstellar, at 10-to-1. They're the main ones in the market. 2-to-1 Horlicks, surprisingly 7-to-1 Vo Rogue. My pick, as I said before, I'm a spoiled sport. I'm going for TAB number 2, Superimpose. 1 alley, Mick Dittman. Mick's already ridden 2 of the first 3 winners. I think he might make it 3 of the first 4. In race 5, the Orlando Wines Classic, I like a Colin Hayes mare, number 11, Belle Chanson. I'm told that she's done terrific up here in Sydney. Her form's good interstate. She might be hard to beat, and she'll be odds, probably 8 or 10-to-1. In race 6, I like number 2, Boasting, 1 alley, Darren Beedman. I reckon he'll win. He's one of the better bets. And in race 7, the last race we're doing, perhaps the best bet of the afternoon, number 1, Procol Harum. Big mouthful, number 1, Procol Harum. About another 5 minutes, we'll see the horses parading here for the Sedgenhoe Stakes, the race where either Horlicks or Vo Rogue will pass the $3 million mark. Perhaps both of them will. We'll be back just before the race to give you an update on the prices and, of course, the Sedgenhoe Stakes live on the wide world of sports.
Well,
there he is, ladies and gentlemen, the great Vo Rogue on one of his rare excursions to Sydney. He has to win today's race to reach the magical $3 million mark in prize money, whereas his arch-rival Horlicks has to run in the first 5 and she goes past the magical $3 million barrier. This is the Sedgenhoe Stakes under grey skies at Rosehill, a great race. The field, Ken, collectively have won around $12 million in prize money, testimony to their greatness.
Yes, John, you can feel the excitement in the air. If you like racing, you should be here. If you can't be here, you stay tuned to Channel 9. You'll see this in the next 3 races today and over the next few weeks, races just like it. The Sedgenhoe Stakes, number 1 Vo Rogue. Would you believe they bet as much as 10-to-1 in the betting ring? He's now, he's come in a bit more, about 6.5-to-1 on the tote. by golly, it's big odds about a champ. Number 2, Superimpose. I've tipped him. I think he'll run a super race. He's at 8 to 1. Corkage is at 50 to 1. Better Loosen Up, 6.5 to 1 from the Colin Hayes stable, ridden by his jockey Michael Clark. King's High, a stablemate, is at 30 to 1. Citizen Astaya is at 40 to 1. Horlicks, the champ New Zealander, they gave 2s in the betting ring. She's in now to $2.70 for $1. Odds of round about 13 to 8. Palace Revolt at 40, Red Chiffon at 66. Riverina Charm, ex of Sydney, now trained in New Zealand by Laurie Laxon, who won a Melbourne Cup with Riverina Charm, Empire Rose rather. He's got Riverina Charm. She's into 8 to 1, ridden by one of the jockeys of the moment, Shane Dye. Shalia is at 50 to 1. Dr. Grace is at 6.5 to 1, Jimmy Cassidy's mount. And the other 3-year-old Interstellar, to be ridden by John Marshall, is a 12 to 1 chance. Stand by for a great race. Horlicks versus Vo Rogue. I'm on Superimpose. Here's Johnny.
Thanks, Keno, and good luck with the Sedgen Ho Stakes. What a race it'll be. Now, they're getting in rapidly. Looks as though we've waiting for 2 or 3 of them only, and I can see the Vo in those well-known colours, brown, white armbands and a white cap. Now we're just waiting for Vo Rogue, who looks to be still milling around behind the gates. Shalaya is coming up into the stalls. The line's just about intact. They're collectively a very well-behaved bunch. Red Chiffon, a New Zealand mare with a very good record. Sedestin stands up well in the stalls with Dr. Grace, Interstellar, winner of the Canterbury Guineas. Starter Billy Dale shouting instructions. The stalls fly open, the flag's down, and they're off in the Sedgen Ho, and they'll appear in view in just a moment. And here they come racing into view. Superimpose is the early leader. Horlicks has now taken over. King's High is moving up quickly on the outside, followed by Red Chiffon. Now Cyril Small's going to maintain a straight course in the run to the first turn. He's right out in the middle of the track, and there goes the Vo now. Vo Rogue is spearing across at the 1600 mark to go to the lead, and he quickly kicked away about 3 lengths on Horlicks, followed by King's High, Riverina Charm and Red Chiffon a bit deep early. Then Dr. Grace and Corkage Superimpose on the inside of Sedestin, followed by Palace Revolt. Shalaya a fair way back towards the tail, and second last is Interstellar, and Better Loosen Up in front of 3 horses. But away goes Vo Rogue down the back. At the 1200 mark, Cyril Small has let the champ go, and Vo Rogue is 12 lengths in front of Horlicks, who's got the unenviable task of taking the field up to the leader. A neck away, King's High on the outside, a bit more than a length to Red Chiffon. Corkage is travelling 3 deep, and then Riverina Charm, who got a check and fell back on Dr. Grace, who struck trouble. Then Superimpose, followed by Sedestin, Better Loosen Up and Palace Revolt. Interstellar and Shalaya on the outside is last at the 800 mark, and it's the Vo. Vo Rogue is still about 10 lengths in front. Horlicks is second, King's High third. Corkage on the outside as they come down the side, followed by Riverina Charm. Red Chiffon out deep as Dr. Grace at the 600 mark, a gap to Superimpose, Sedestin, then Palace Revolt, Better Loosen Up, Shalaya and Interstellar as last. They're starting to peg Vo Rogue back as they come around the turn. He straightened up 2 lengths in front. Here's Horlicks. Horlicks is quickly looming up to Vo Rogue as they turn for home. King's High in third place, followed by Riverina Charm, and Dr. Grace on the outside is putting in a big run, and going with him is Sedestin. Horlicks flat to the boards in front at the 200. Dr. Grace and Sedestin are challenging, and Better Loosen Up on the extreme outside. Sedestin and Better Loosen Up have come away. They're fighting it out. Better Loosen Up on the extreme outside is drawing clear, and Better Loosen Up wins the Sedgen Ho. Sedestin second, Superimpose third, fourth Dr. Grace, fifth Horlicks, sixth is Interstellar. Vo Rogue weakened to run in the middle of the pack, followed by Corkage, Red Chiffon, then King's High, Riverina Charm and Shalaya and Palace Revolt are the joint tailenders in the Sedgen Ho Stakes for 1990. Well, you can say what you like. He's just not the same horse in Sydney. I don't know if he doesn't like the climate, the people, I don't know what, but he's not the same horse in Sydney, Vo Rogue. He's raced that way, as you know, in Melbourne many times, way out in front, but he just seems to keep going in Melbourne. In Sydney, it's almost as though he sulks. He's not happy here. But the winner, Better Loosen Up. Better Loosen Up, Michael Clark, with a searching run right down the extreme outside. Is that Michael Clark's first Sydney winner? I think it is. One of Australia's champion riders, and I think he's drawn a blank in Sydney before today. Better Loosen Up, $7.30 and $2.30. Sedestin, Neil Williams, a place dividend of $9.90, and Superimpose, Mick Dittman, a place dividend of $2.70. You've seen the Sedgen Ho Stakes, an anticlimactic Sedgen Ho Stakes in a way. on Wide World of Sports.
6 and 2. Better Loosen Up, $7.30 and $2.30. Sedestin, $9.90, and Superimpose third, $2.70. Kenny Callender didn't get one there, but he is going to try and get a tip for you for race 5. It's number 11, Belle Chanson. In the Sheffield Shield Cricket, New South Wales.
Well, grey skies still prevail at Rose Hill, but fortunately we've had no rain since shortly before the first race, and even then it was only a quick scud. The track is officially dead, and this is the Orlando Wines Classic, a race for fillies and mares. It's a Group 1 race, carries prize money of $300,000. I'd invite you to watch a New Zealand filly here by the name of Philippa Rush, a terrific record in the Dominion of 11 wins from 13 starts. She failed in Melbourne recently, and this is her first try in Sydney. Now, without wanting to sound chauvinistic, she is a rather high-spirited young lady, to say the least. She's quite foul-tempered on occasions. I believe she played up very badly in the enclosure in Melbourne, and she was pretty pig-headed here today, Ken. In fact, they sent her out onto the track early, minutes ahead of the other runners, in the hope that her jockey would be able to settle her down. Temperament, she's got plenty of it, Philippa Rush.
I think she's also got plenty of weight, John. 56.5 for a 3-year-old filly. Oh, boy. If I was a bookie, I'd have to be taking a risk with her. Let's look at these prices. Number 1, Philippa Rush, the horse we speak of, 11 out of 13. It's a super record, but weight stops the train. She's at 6-1. Thelma Josephine is at 9-2. She's a big finisher from Melbourne. 40 Just Trish, 40 Latitude, Jimmy Cassidy's mount. Not often you get those sort of odds about Jockey Jim. 9-1 Ochiltree, very impressive last start at Warwick Farm. 20 2-0 Red Express, big odds. 16 Reganza, another Bart Cummings runner. 8-1 Happy Sailing, good chance. Racing, here's John.
Slow to move, Ochiltree went back to be last early. Bouncing out in front from an outside gate is Philippa Rush. Quickly into stride, Cara's Magic, All Stormy third. Close handy, a little kiss on the inside when they get going, followed by Just Trish. Just behind those at the head of the others came Latitude. Further back on the fence now, improving quickly as Ochiltree. In that bunch is Belle Chanson, followed by Quicksilver Cindy out wide. Her rider electing to press on closer to the lead, followed by Happy Sailing, and then Lady Jess and Thelma Josephine. And Reganza is a long way back in the field. Now coming to the first turn at the 900 mark, and Philippa Rush under a good hull, just led Cara's Magic. All Stormy a length away third, Quicksilver Cindy out wide, Just Trish between horses. On the fence is a little kiss, a length further back, Marathon Star, followed by Red Express. Ochiltree bailed up midfield on the inside, out deep Happy Sailing, and then Latitude, and further back is Belle Chanson, badly placed. Thelma Josephine will have to go very wide on the turn. Into the straight now, Philippa Rush just led, left the fence. There's a rails run for a little kiss. A little kiss is bursting through to tackle it, and Ochiltree's going to get up on the inside of all of them. Philippa Rush still in front at the 300 mark from a little kiss. Ochiltree getting right through on the rail, followed by All Stormy, and down the outside, Happy Sailing with a late run. It's Philippa Rush in front. Happy Sailing is getting to it quickly. Philippa Rush feeling the weight. Happy Sailing finishing right over the top of it, but Philippa Rush all right on the line. There's nothing in it. Philippa Rush or Happy Sailing. It's very, very close. Now third, you've got a little kiss there with Red Express and the fast finishing Belle Chanson, and then Just Trish, followed by Quicksilver Cindy. Further back, All Stormy, and then Reganza, Marathon Star. Ochiltree finished just behind those. At the head of the others, Lady Jess. Well back, Latitude, Thelma Josephine and Whistling pulled up with the tail enders, and Cara's Magic has tailed right off in the Orlando. Right on the line, very, very close. By crikey, what a big run under 56.5. Philippa Rush giving age to all of the others. Now, look at Happy Sailing with the white armbands rapidly overhauling Philippa Rush, whose rider rides hands and heels. Oh, it looks like she's got up in the last bound, but gee, there's nothing in it. You can still see the other rider's nose protruding in front of Happy Sailing's rider. Oh, it's desperately close. A desperately close one. Happy Sailing or Philippa Rush. There's nothing in it. Right on the line, there's a lip in this. Happy Sailing and Philippa Rush. Philippa Rush showing $5.10 and $2.50. Happy Sailing $9.20 and $3. And third's equally close, a big bunch of them there. In fact, looking at that still, I thought Ochiltree had missed the place, but looking at that, she might still be in the photo for third, Ochiltree. If she does, let me see, Ochiltree, number 5, a place dividend of $3.20. That was the action in the Orlando Classic on Wide World of Sports.
classic run over 1,500 metres. The correct numbers 8, 1 and 13. Happy Sailing made it through, $9.20 and $3. Philippa Rush, number 1, was second, $2.50. And A Little Kiss, 13, $2 third. And Kenny Callender has a tip for Sydney race 6. Tips haven't been going too well, but it's number 2 and it's Boasting. If he gets a winner, he'll be boasting. Sheffield.
Okay, from heavy-duty horsepower on 2 wheels at Suzuka, time now to go out to Rose Hill and Johnny Tapp for race number 6. Tappy?
Thank you, Max. The race is called the Star Kingdom Stakes, named after one of the greatest sires to ever stand in this part of the world. And, of course, his influence, his contribution to Golden Slipper history has been very significant. An interesting runner here is a filly called Confederate Lady. Now, she hasn't raced for 13 months after breaking down badly as a 2-year-old. She was unbeaten in 3 starts, was getting ready, in fact, for last year's Golden Slipper when she tragically bowed a tendon. Well, after a long rest in the spelling paddock, she's back in training, but Ken, she looks big and burly today. I think she'll need a couple of runs before she's anywhere near fit.
I was nearly wrong with Philippa Rush, John, but Confederate Lady couldn't get any of my money. How do you know 2-year-old form's going to be, you know, a lot of horses don't train on. How's she going, you know, if she's going to be different? If she wins, she wins. That's the way I think of it. My tip, Boasting. Let's look at the prices. Number 1, Tierra Wrist, it's out to 25 to 1. Boasting is favoured at 5 to 2. 1 Alley will help him a lot. Alpine Flyer at 8 to 1. Dark Bow been very well backed in the betting ring. Peter Cook 7 to 2. It's coming on the tote to about 3 to 1. Well, that's its price. 9 to 1 Investor. Patronise number 6 is at 4 to 1. Number 7 at getting out to 40 to 1 My Red Deer. Lombardy Lad was scratched this morning. 14 to 1 Star Maverick. 33 West Dancer. And out to 6 to 1 now Confederate Lady. Boasting, incidentally, is out to $3.80, which is closer to 11 to 4. Okay, here's John for the running of the Star Kingdom Stakes.
Good, Ken. Thank you very much. And Star Kingdom, as I said, had an amazing influence on Golden Slipper history. He came to Australia in 1953 and was destined to rewrite the record books. In fact, he sired the first 5 Golden Slipper winners, and many other subsequent winners and place getters in Golden Slipper history have his name very prominent in their pedigree. No stallion in Australian breeding history has been more instrumental in placing Australia on the international racing and breeding map than the great Star Kingdom, who died many years ago now, but his blood lives on. Now, what the heck is causing the trouble here? It's Confederate Lady, 13 months off the scene. She's a little fresh, a little above herself, and that's when they give trouble, when they're in need of a little work. Confederate Lady resisting all efforts at the moment to place her in, but Manpower's going to win the battle. 3 or 4 gatemen link hands behind, and they're able to push the big Rancher filly into the gates. Shane Dye about to remount. Now West Dancer coming up close to the stalls. Patronise about to move in. Waiting on Tierra Wrist. Dark Bow is coming up near to the gates. The Orlando Classic, the previous race, resulted in a tremendous finish with Happy Sailing, ridden by Shane Dye, getting up in the last bound to beat the New Zealander Philippa Rush. A very interesting little sidelight to the win. Shane Dye was married last Sunday. His best man was Lance O'Sullivan, who rode the 2nd horse in the big race, Philippa Rush. So today we had a reverse situation, and Shane Dye was the best man on the day. Now My Red Deer looks to be the last in. They're about set. Started barking instructions to the riders. Tell me when you're right, son. Stalls cleared. Ready now. Starter's on his stand. One rider protesting that he's not ready yet. Stalls open, off and running, good start. If anything, a shade slow to move. Star Maverick and West Dancer flew the gate. Bounded out in front, beginning brilliantly. Alpine Flyer, followed by Investor. Patronises quickly into stride. Just behind those Dark Bow when they get going, followed by Star Maverick, and then Boasting, Confederate Lady, Tierra Wrist, and last is My Red Deer. Coming through the gap onto the course proper, West Dancer led from Alpine Flyer. A length and a half away, Investor on the inside of Patronise. Dark Bow losing ground. Boasting, hard ridden, is getting up on the inside. inside of Dark Bow and Agapta Star Maverick, followed by Confederate Lady. My Red Deer being second last and Tierra Ristas last as they turn the corner. West Dancer shifted about 4 horses on the turn, taking Alpine Flyer with it. Plenty of room on the inside for Investor if he's good enough, followed by Patronise, and Boasting is now pulled out to the middle of the track, taking him a while to wind up. West Dancer being tackled by Investor on the fence, and they've kicked clear of Alpine Flyer. Boasting Whiteout is coming home hard now.